Hey, welcome back. Where we left off was the 50k, my first 50k trail race. So I just entered into the ultra world, which was the Wheel Challenge Ultra, which I was pretty chuffed with how I did on that. So the next stage, which was following on from a logical progression, was to sign myself up for my first 50 miler. Now, I did this quite quickly, and a friend was recommended going to like the Centurion website and checking to see what 50 milers were on there. Originally I was looking at the Chiltern Wonderland, but that was all fully booked, so almost like a knee-jerk sort of booking, I ended up by choosing the Wendover Woods 50. Now, for anyone who's done this, it's got loads of elevation. It's I think it's over 10,000 foot of elevation over 50 miles, which at the start I think I underestimated how much elevation that was. And it was only once I went into the sort of training that I realised that it would effectively be like 50 miles of doing hill reps with the downhills afterwards. And so it wasn't just the doubling in distance pretty much of a marathon distance, it was also the elevation that I needed to train for. So with that in mind, first of all I wanted to overcome the distance side of things, which I felt like 50 miles was a proper intro into the ultra world. 50k was sort of fun, but 50 miles was a definite way in. And makes you feel like you're fully into it. So looking at the training from the 50k, it was pretty relaxed after that, usual sort of recovery period. And then I did a marathon a couple of weeks afterwards, which was just a hilly long run on road, just to get the distance back up. And a lot of the training from there on was sort of the usual low heart rate sort of bread and butter runs along the flat, which is, there's lots of 14 milers in there, which I did on the is called the Forest Way, which is a flat sort of hard packed route, which is quite shaded because I was going through the summer. It's quite nice to be in the shade for some of it. So yeah, going from that, we did the marathon, and then there's a 27 miler, which I did a few laps of the Forest Way. And then there's a few sort of progression runs where I do 7 miles out and then 7 miles faster on the way back, just to keep some of the speed in and have the warm up at the start. And so it's good to sort of keep the speed going as well. But yeah, fine tuning for this next race, I was thinking, right, so what is the next race? It's the 50 miler, it's trails predominantly, it's incredibly hilly. And the Wendover Woods 50 was 5 laps of 10 miles, and each lap had about just over 2,000 foot of elevation. So I had to train a lot of elevation, and I also wanted to do the 50 miles in training. So looking at this run here, I did my first 50 miler, which was just to overcome the distance side of things. Now this was down to Brighton on road, but it was just a case of ticking that box to say, right, I know what the time on feet is like. It's just a question of getting the 50 miler in and add to the confidence as well. And that was pretty much done on heart rate. So yeah, there's a 50 miler there, which I did in training. And then as we get closer to the race, which was, so this is originally from the 12th of June, which is when the 50k was, and to the 12th of November. So I had to go through the summer. So there's a few peak weeks. I did 100 miles on that week there, which and there's another 100 miles on this 50 miler week. But this 100.9 week, which is from the 17th to 23rd of October, if you look at the elevation on that, that was pretty much an elevation week as well as a distance week. So I did 12,000 foot of elevation on that week, and one of the key runs of that was the last one, which was this Storm Chaser one, which was, so it was mimicking the race to come. It was doing hill reps basically through the wet, through the storm. It was on trail. So it really was a great run just to help prepare you for this race. So there was 12,000 foot of elevation there. So if we go back to the distance, so yeah, there's 200 mile peak weeks. One of them had loads of elevation. And then it came into the taper period for that race, which is this 51.2. And that is Wendover Woods 50. I was very happy with it. I'm going to stop now, and then the next video will be a full debrief of how that went and explaining, going to the details of that ultra. But yeah, thanks for listening.